was in that shop I told you about, and I got this. Ugly, they only had ugly colors. And it does like... Maybe it's not that bad, but it smells kind of funky. It smells, yeah, the store, it smelled funky. Yeah, it smelled funky. Like someone died in there. Which gets me to the subject of near-death experiences. I alluded to this in the earlier video, and I saw this video of Joe Rogan and Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about it, and Neil deGrasse Tyson was, of course, very skeptical, and he told Joe Rogan about this experiment they did, where they basically... Do you hear those people? Voices outside. Anyway, yeah, that's what some people hear when they have do I have a near-death experience? I hope not. Or whatever, maybe. Maybe it's also possible to get these experiences when not dying. That's actually one of the things Joe Rogan talked about in this podcast. Anyway, they had an experiment where they put a sheet with numbers on it on a desk, or not a desk, sort of like above the patient that was about to die, and they just said, if you have a near-death experience, look up at that thing and the sheet and tell us the numbers. And Joe Rogan immediately laughed, and I didn't immediately laugh, but I think that's a very odd proposal. Like, if you believe, to me, a near-death experience or the first stages of a near-death experience, when the people talk about leaving their body, that might just be how their mind eases into a new state of reality. Like, yeah, it's they see themselves as they would imagine themselves seeing themselves, and that it's a sort of transition. It doesn't literally mean that there is a ghost above their body. It might, I don't know, but to me it seems more likely that this perception that they enter is sort of, and the visions the visions they see when entering them is sort of, that's sort of the ritual to transcend into this other form of being, this other sort of consciousness. And then to say, well, we have a sheet of paper with a bunch of numbers on it, and while you do this incredibly intense ritual, could you look at the sheet and tell us, like, of course that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. I wouldn't do it out of spite, honestly, even if it's possible and I'm in the middle of this like transcendent experience where I leave my body, and then I say, well, whoever is up there, whatever is going to happen next, just hold on a second, I have to read those numbers on the table and remember them. Okay, la da da. Okay, go on with the transcendent thing, That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. I don't believe that. But that was the experiment, and in that you can see how, really close-minded a lot of scientists must be to. It's a cute attempt. I'll give you that. It's a cute attempt, but you have to look at something completely else. You have to look at something. And it's probably not solvable. This riddle is probably, perhaps, not completely solvable. But I don't know. I would just allude to the fact that a lot of people on DMT report these experiences, and then report, there's this experiment going on in Oxford or somewhere, or somewhere in England. So somewhere prestigious in England. There's this study going on where they figured out the amount to keep someone in this TMT stance. You know, they are wired up with stuff and are injected just the right amount. You know, it sounds pretty crazy, and it sort of is, but yeah, they all report seeing the same figures without talking to each other. You know, it's interesting stuff that's going on there, and you know, I made my thoughts range widely, I gotta say. You know, yeah, one has this alternate state of consciousness, this sort of, yeah, leaving one dimension to open up to next. I don't know, yeah, it's but I thought, and that's also the point that Joe brought up in this argument, that Neil deGrasse Tyson said, well, but if it's only in your head, then it's basically useless, you know. Okay, no, it's not. It's not at all. If you come back after such an experience, everyone says they're profoundly changed for the better. And then they act in the world with that change, and that in turn changes the world. That's a lot. That's really important, you know. That's sort of like saying, that's sort of like, there's this thought experiment, you know, in a time of drought or, you know, struggle. You don't have a lot of money, no one has, and there are two beggars on the streets, and one of them is a doctor and the other one is an artist, and you have $1 to give. Who do you give him to, you know? And most people would say, well, probably the doctor, because he actually, I mean, really helps people, and the artist kind of, you know, I'm sorry artist, but you gotta, you know. But I think it's actually a way more complicated question. I mean, think about it. The doctor saves lives, yes, but the artist makes lives worth living for. Maybe that's too crass of a, but you know, he inspires. You know, he inspires. That's sort of the point I wanted to get at. Like, okay, you know, if you just take it further and say who's more important in the world, a doctor or an artist, I wouldn't be so quick to decide either, because the artist may inspire a doctor to become a doctor. I mean, think about it. How many doctors inspire doctors to become, or inspire children to become doctors? Probably not that many. But if a child sees like a doctor in a movie or a TV show, or, you know, it just hears a story. It doesn't have to be a sort of a product, you know, just hears a story about a doctor saving someone. That story is gonna be better if it's told by someone who, you know, who's a good storyteller. In my mind, that's already an artist. Doesn't matter if you wrote a book or published anything, or it doesn't matter, you know. You know these people. Some people are really good at telling stories. They hook you. And you want to listen till the end. Now, if this person tells a story about a doctor, I'm sure some people would say, yeah, hey, that's what I want to do, or at least that's what I want to try, or, you know, yeah, give some money to help, whatever. So you can't separate these two. Like the guy doing the measuring stuff and healing stuff, the actual like life-saving stuff, and the one that maybe changed someone's life and made it, well, yeah, sometimes art can make someone change their mind or outlook on life, you know, that's possible. It's not that easy, but I get how people feel about, think about this. Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, near-death experiences, right? How did we get there? Oh yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson and Joe Rogan. Yeah, that's the same sort of thing I saw. And then Neil deGrasse Tyson said something that actually, it really annoyed me. It was more than annoying, it actually physically hurt. It actually physically, and I'm gonna give you a trigger warning. It's not a curse or something. It's just, it's probably worse than that. So, okay. He said, scientifically speaking, now comes the warning, and and it sort of shook me on some level. And he said, well, on a scientific understanding and blah blah blah, the human brain only barely works. It only barely. He really hit the barely home. He wanted that to stick. He really stuck it in. He really, only barely works. It just scraps by somehow. And why add drugs to the mix? That was his stance on this DMT thing. And I just thought, man, that's such a profoundly, that's an incredible statement to make. That's where we are, back with the atheist saying, I know for a fact, that this can't be true. Now, if you really think, as a scientist, that we understand the workings of our body completely, and we can judge the state it is in like that. That's I'm sorry. The stuff I know about, and I know a little bit about the brain science and stuff, and how they think about consciousness, or try to think about it in those terms, and it's nowhere near solved. It's nowhere near. So a statement like this tells me something about how he looks at life, and I thought it was a bit shocking. There must be a lot of fear, right? There must be somewhere. Maybe it's buried deep down, but I felt this, just how he said it, it barely works. How do you know? I mean, it works, doesn't it? Where does the barely come from? Where does that come from? I can't quite explain it. Like, that felt so odd to me, that how could you go through life without any sort of trust that your body works today, Like if you wake up and say, oh, everything barely works, there's so much. I don't like this at all. It feels so bad. And it's most definitely not true. I googled it. We don't basically know nothing about how our brain works. We measure some stuff. Like, we basically measure, well, there's a bit more than that, but yeah, chemical processes, or which parts light up when someone's doing what, stuff like that. But it's all where it's really, some stuff is very childish, I think. Very surface level, not even, That's what it feels to me, And like this near-death experience thing kind of cuts into that. So many people, or DMT, or whatever. So many people saying the same thing, and yet it's not seen because it doesn't connect. I don't. I think it does connect, just not. There's still a harsh barrier, with. I just don't get it. I'm dumbfounded, How can you say that? Because it defies, again, the scientific outlook, or it overestimates the scientific outlook on that subject. And it's completely, even though atheists often say, well, look, no, I don't know if this exists. I'm just saying I can't make a definitive statement. Okay, fine. But that's not what I hear when you talk. Or that's, a lot of the times, that's not what I hear. A lot of the times it's the opposite. A lot of the times it's, oh, you can't measure that and you believe it exists. Man, you're far out, man. You're completely crazy. That's what I hear out. So that means that this tiny chance that, perhaps it's true, is actually closed. They actually closed that and didn't open it. That's what I heard in Neil deGrasse Tyson's voice when he said that. It barely works. Hang on. How do you know? It barely. How does that? That's such a strong word in that context. That measure anything yet, so we can't make the judgment. Fine, don't make the judgment, but at least leave that door slightly ajar. I think that's healthier. But you do you.